What are the things that get a collector excited? Well, I will say that the acquisition of an action figure or playset type of Holy Grail are among the things that are few and far between, unless you, of course, you have endless funds and endless space. But we're going to talk about the common collector on this particular stream. So when it comes to toy Holy Grails, there's a lot that goes into it. Are they rare? Are they unique? Are they expensive? What is a Holy Grail to you? It is a very subjective type of thing, but we understand the term when we're talking amongst our fellow collectors. Well, I've been looking forward to this stream, and so have my guests. But once again, hi everyone, this is Ken. This is a Toy Connections online live stream, or TKO, broadcasting to you live on this fine Sunday, whatever part of the globe you happen to be from. So I was partly looking forward to this because I've streamed with all three of these gentlemen before. You saw their names in the thumbnail. But hold on, let me just set the ambiance a little bit here. Just do that. I don't often get to stream from this part of my house, so I just figured, hey, why not get some lights on? If it wastes all my puck light battery, so be it. But let's throw our gentlemen, our guests on screen here, and we shall begin with, all right, this is the guy who I watch every single week on Toy Geeks at 6 p.m. my time or 9 p.m. his time. I don't know how he does it every single week at that time and still have time for an after show while looking after his two kids. But when I talk about destination programming and somebody who actually helped somewhat mentor me in my early days of YouTube as well. So I'm finally glad to get him on the channel. You should all subscribe to his channel if you already haven't. This is Jay from GeekDadLife.
Hello. So excited to be here.
How are you, buddy? Ooh.
Oh, am I muted? Hello. Can you hear me? We're good?
You were, but you're okay now.
Oh, okay. All right. Hello. Excited to be here to talk about the Holy Grails today
yes.
if you can.
Yes, and you've got a few on your annual, what do you call it, your year-end collection tour.
Yes.
I'm always looking at the big play sets there. I'm like, I think I see that, I see that. You know, you got a flag as well. So, hey, thank you for being on. And we had your co-host John here just a few weeks ago talking about
I was pumped to see him on the stream. And now I was worried that I was like, is he have enough stamina to do this stream and then our two streams that we do on Sunday night? Now I'm in that boat. Hopefully I can keep it's the day of streaming for me. Hopefully I keep.
The problem is I was trying to tire him out and it didn't work. He was full of energy bouncing off the walls on your stream and the after show. So when that didn't work, I'm trying to tire you out so that but you'll probably be bouncing off the walls anyway. You got kids. You're endless on energy and endless on caffeine. So anyway, sorry, I'm doing this thing again where I keep all the guests backstage waiting, and I gotta stop doing that. So this next individual is actually somebody who I watched on an action figure adventure, and I heard about him for the first time on this awesome reality TV show that you can see on Amazon Prime. The first 10 episodes are still there. The second season is coming up. Then I find out we're in a few Canadian groups together, and we ended up streaming together a few times. So we've got the star of action figure adventure, the star of Nintendo Quest, and from his self-titled YouTube channel, we got Jay Bartlett.
Oh, wow. What an introduction. Well, hello, gentlemen. How are you?
We are good. Yeah. We are good.
It's really, it's been a pleasure to be here. Ken, you and I have done a bunch. We are part of the Canadian connection with Michael Mercy. So it's good for you and I to connect. Apart from that, it's gonna be awesome.
Absolutely. And you know who else is part of the Canadian connection is somebody who I wrote a lesser intro for. So I'm just going to freestyle this. Though it's funny, I say I write an intro down, but I'm looking at the screen, so I'm sitting here like memorizing it to make it look all organic. But everybody knows I'm scripted like a bad WWE promo anyway, so it's all good, right? Okay, fine. We'll go back to the Attitude Era when the promos were actually good, although it's getting a little better now with Triple H in charge. Sorry, this is not a wrestling stream. Don't get off topic. Anyway, this guy is always online. Every time my notifications come on, this individual seems to be streaming. He streams at all hours of the day, but I got him up nice and early right now. You should subscribe to his channel, just like you subscribe to these other two channels. He'll have a lot to say on action figure and playset Holy Grails. Mega J, thank you for waiting patiently.
Oh wow, three J's and a toy connection. This is awesome. Never seen this before in my life. This is awesome. Thank you for having me, Ken. This is amazing. Thank you.
So for those in the chat, when I start calling one of them Geek Dad J, J Bartlett, and Mega J, it's not because I don't know their first name or I'm trying to be too formal. It's because I have to differentiate them. And I was venting to them before this started because I thought, damn, if I only got 2 J's, now that I've already talked about wrestling, Double J Jeff Jarrett was like my least favorite wrestler of all time. So this would have forever been the Double J stream if only 2 of them had shown up. So thank you all for being here right now. Not that I have any problems with Double J as a wrestling personality backstage and a founder and all that other stuff. I just didn't care for him in the ring during the main Attitude and New Generation era. But let's say a quick load of the chat and then we'll file into the agenda. But let's start with a kind super chat here from Articulated Chad. We just streamed yesterday twice, actually. So that he says here, some of my favorite Canadians, and we're going to add a favorite American to your list as well here. And we'll say hi to the rest of the chat. Geek Dad, I have no idea how you do this so quickly, but my computer's a lot slower. So, you know, we've got here. We've got Gazz, we've got Jim Largo, whose comment is fading from the screen. We got Payne's Toy Samples, we got Kirk. I've already said hi to Articulated Chad. We've got Gaze, we've got Scuba Pete. This is weird because like the names show up on my one camera faster than my other. So I'm like, I got a better computer. Peppermint Oil Capsule, Space Commander, you haven't missed anything. Don't worry about that. We've got Kayla Silva or Silver K. I think we've already got Gaze. Left Coast Graphics, Scuba Pete said hi to you already. Scrolling. We got someone called WJ having complexing things for us with yet another J. He says he got his first action figure or Holy Grail for his birthday last year, a complete terror drone. That's amazing.
Ooh, very nice.
Doing some repairs and finding other Cobra battle stations at the moment. Who do we got here? We got Action.
Those doors break so easy. I'm sorry.
They do. We got
They're all
Action.
replacements. I have a friend that makes little attachments so that you can fix the doors.
Yes. That's freaking awesome. But well, so let's just start with here. Like, define a kind of like a Holy Grail by your criteria. You know, does it have to be vintage? Can it be modern? Does it have to be expensive? Is it subjective? Going clockwise, Geek Dad, I got you first up.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think it's per collector. I think like some people feel like it's just a vintage thing, but to me it's always just like, what's that piece, that item that is really hard to find for you, and you kind of have to go on a quest to find it or something. Like, it's just not something you can easily go and get. It requires some type of, you know, hero's journey, if you will, to like go out and try to obtain this tougher item to find. And you know, and it could be different from person to person, because toys change over time. People tell me the Ghostbusters Firehouse is their Grail, because they are hard to find now, but when I got mine, they were pretty easy to find. So time can change that. The way collections are can change that, and prices can change that. So it's ever evolving. So I think it's just collector to collector. What are they searching for, and what is the thing that is really hard for them to find? And then once you find it, it's just kind of, you've finished this epic quest to obtain a Grail. That's how I always kind of think of it.
So that's it's about the journey, I guess.
Exactly.
Yeah. Mr. Bartlett, anything to add to that?
Yeah, I don't think it has to be particularly. It doesn't have to be a vintage toy, I should say. It's something that could be, you know, a dream of yours when you're a kid. Mine is right behind. I'm so bad at this. There we go. Right behind me, the flag. When everything was crazy in 2020, we didn't really know what was going on in the world. I was like, you know what? I had a couple guys who had one that were going to sell it. I'm like, screw it, I'm going for it. So I'm only missing 5 pieces off mine. That's a personal Grail. Flags in general are very difficult to find in good shape and to complete. That's one for me, but I don't think it has to be vintage. I think it could be in the eye of the beholder. I knew a collector that was looking for the white box Mandalorian that came out a few years ago. That was their Grail, right? So it's really just, it's all up to the collector. So I agree with Geek Dad there.
And with regards to the flag, if you're missing either the fan tail railing or the microphone, those are always the expensive pieces. When I got mine, I was missing a Y pin. So because it's kind of it's a less expensive piece, I have not gone out to get it because I'm like, well, I got the hard to find stuff. So for like 2 years now, my flag has been like incomplete. And everybody assumes, oh, are you missing the fantail or are you missing the microphone? I'm like, oh, I'm missing a Y pin. They're like, dude, get on eBay already. And I'm like, yeah, but shipping's gone up since then. And
I have a question. So
yes,
my flag is complete, but my what's the Admiral
Keel haul.
Keel haul.
Thank you. Good Lord. My keel haul is missing his gun. So is my flag incomplete?
Oh, well, I'll say that I have a list where I believe there's 151 pieces. Now I'm not saying this is official, but I believe the gun is one of them. But I certainly wouldn't count that. So I think yours is complete.
I go back to the Soundwave buzzsaw thing. You can have a complete Soundwave without a complete buzzsaw. So
sure.
It's the same thing with the flag. I'm just picking that one because I remember picking it up off the shelf in 1986, which I'm not sure how that was still available in 86, but this is Canada. We get stuff like Mega J. Love to hear from you on this one.
You know, I personally think that a Grail is what it is to you. Because there have been things which have been announced this year, which to me seem like Grails for a lot of people. You know what I mean? Because like, you could say, right, that the entire Gargoyles collection from 2000 was a Holy Grail situation, right? But you look at some of the stuff that NEC is putting out right now, and they just look absolutely incredible, right? And for some people, that's their Holy Grail. But I think traditionally everyone believes that a Holy Grail is something which, as GeekDadLife said, as Jay said, that this is going to get confusing. By the way, we're going to start pointing at each other. You're Spider-Man. No, Anyway, I think that it is a quest. I believe that Jay's right. I think that in many ways, whether or not you live in a remote area, because that actually could be it. It could be that you are in a part of the States or a part of the province, where you don't get to go out and you don't have 6 Walmarts, within half an hour of you, right? And that could be your quest, right? It could be as simple as finding Tila in the wild, right? That could happen, right? So yeah, the quest and the Grails could be anything, right? Again, everyone's personal quest is their own. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. This is fun.
Fair enough. And I think like things, all of you kind of like echoed kind of that it can change over time. Like you mentioned the Tila there, Mega J, and like if something was a Grail and then it gets reissued, what happens then? I remember when in the early 2000s when all my older Transformers friends were glomming over Star Convoy. Oh my God, it was hard to get. Then they suddenly reissued them around 2005, and then everybody went and ordered it, and then the price went down for a number of years. And now both the reissue and the original have gone up. So it's like things change over time, but I think there's those perpetual Holy Grails. You see it in the chat. We've all talked about it here. The flag, I would think Eternia could count as a Holy Grail as well.
Which
but
is
there's also
a new issue that could affect the Grailness of the original.
And you were, I think you and John were talking a bit about that. Now, I think there's also a bit of a difference. Like a Grail can be a centerpiece, but a centerpiece can also be a very common thing, like Castle Grayskull. You go to a toy show, you'll find 9 of them on the floor, right? But everybody puts it as a quintessential centerpiece. So there's a little bit of a difference. But a person might say that a boxed Castle Grayskull that's complete with its paperwork, they might call that a Grail. Whereas, like just the shell sitting in your collection that still does the same, does the trick of standing in there. It all, it still counts.
For me though, just everyone's different. But value comes very little to me. And you know what, I say that, but I do recognize value. I understand where value comes into it, but for me, it doesn't have to be valuable. Some people's Grails are some people's Grails are are like what's it called, a couple of Ninja Turtles who are so common, it's just not ridiculous. It's so ridiculous, but to them, right? Metalhead, right? Like for instance, I can't find a Metalhead anywhere, right? For whatever reason, I just can't. But I remember him as a kid, and I remember the vac metal of his shell. I remember all the accessories it came with, which we'll never get. Like if you want to talk about a Grail, that's what you're talking about. If you want to get a complete Metalhead, right? Because he came with so much stuff. They all came with so much stuff, right?
Mhm.
But those are the types of things that I've considered grails, only because, as I said, for me, value, it comes and goes. I mean, like something as Jay, you said, oh, GeekDadLife, Jay, as you said, you know, today you could have what's it called? Oh, God. Anyway, that transformer that we just talked about,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then all of a sudden, here comes a Haslab,
Yeah.
and that thing drops like to nothing.
Mhm.
But you know what? To me, that thing would still be my grail. That thing would
Yeah.
still be on the top of my shelf, and I would still love that thing, no
Yep.
matter how stupid it looks, no matter how archaic the transformation is. That would still be my grail.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
So what did I miss? Terribly sorry
We had
about
an
that.
amazing conversation. We solved all of the world's problems, and we also defined once and for all what a grail is.
Once and for all. So like the definition is going to change permanently in the Webster dictionary.
Here, I'll make it better. Jay's definition of a grail. Figure that one out. So.
Oh, I freaking love it. Okay. Well, I mean, is there a specific grail that you own that you cherish to this day? Like when someone asks you, what's your holy grail that you got in your collection? And what's kind of the first thing that pops to your mind without even thinking? Let's go clockwise again. Geek Dad, over to you.
Yeah, there's plenty. And I'm fortunate enough to have a few of what people consider like general grails, a flag and Eternia. And it's really, I think just because I've been collecting so long, I've had the opportunities have arisen and I was able to find them for cheaper than they are now, thankfully. But one, I took a couple pictures of a few before we came on, so these are very haphazard. So let me share my screen here.
Yeah, absolutely.
But this one was one that when I first started like really trying to collect vintage figures, which I'd probably peg to 2009, was when my wife and I moved in together, and there was a spare room, and it kind of became the collection room. So that's when I was like, all right, I'm going to try to find these things. I started collecting superpowers, and it took, I think, 7 years from that point, and I finally had the opportunity to get a complete cyborg. And it was one that I was so happy, but like also my wife Colleen was really happy. She's like, "Oh, you finally found it!" Like usually she despises all of these purchases, but it was such like a happy moment. She was like, "Oh my," because she was trying to find one for me for like birthdays and Christmas and whatever. And when I finally got this one, it was kind of like it's one of the few times when I found a grail that my wife was just as happy for me versus like, how much did you spend on that again? It was more, she was really happy. So that one's really special.
And you did a superpower stream a number of weeks ago as well, where you talked about exactly this and why this one was probably pulled off of shelves because of the back metallization of it, right? So they probably said it's more expensive to make. How can we, you know?
I didn't realize this until that stream with Toy Otter. They cut production on the Series 3 like the year before. They canceled it a year before its last year, official year. And because it was vac metal, it was the last one kind of on that production cadence. So there's just a lot fewer of them. And that's why Cyborg is the rarest and most expensive. But again, I bought this for $270 at the time, and now they're worth way more than that. So I think it's just the perception of like when you find your grail versus what it is now. Some people are like, how did you have all this money to buy this? I was like, well, I bought it a lot cheaper than it is. I didn't buy it today because I wouldn't be able to. And that's just part of it.
I have that with my GI Joe Night Force collection. Sorry, did you want to share another tab, or was that the main one?
I had a couple others, but yeah, it's not about me talking all day. So pass it
no, that's fine. If you have another one you want to pop in there, sorry, I took it out of the stream. But if it's
move on
anyway. All right, let's move on. All right, Jay Bartlett, what have you got?
Oh yeah, I have a bunch. I unfortunately don't have any photos, but I can describe them pretty good. So one sitting here, this is the Kenner Indiana Jones Well of the Souls playset. This guy right here, it's so special to me because that line is also so special to me that I actually went to Michael's, which is a craft store, and bought one of those football helmet display cases to put it in. Yeah, you got to tell me I'm not the only one who does this, hopefully, but if I am, so be it. So that one in particular, I have, we talked about the flag already. I don't want to make this all about the USS flag because I think we all hold that one up here.
Mhm.
But that one is so special. And even though mine is, it's missing the 5 parts, it doesn't matter. I would like to run into those parts, absolutely, but I consider it's still my baby, right? Tiamat is another one from the Advanced Dungeons and Dragons line. I acquired her once again. A lot of these are items that I had as a child, and for whatever reason they disappeared, or items that I've always wanted, like the flag. We all knew that kid, right, who had the flag. We weren't allowed to touch it or play with it, right? I knew a kid who had a pristine one in like grade 8, and we would go over to his house at lunch, and he's like, "Oh, well, you can look at it, but don't touch it." And it's just like,
Dang.
come on, yeah. So those are just a few in my collection that I really cherish.
All right. Wow, I would not have thought about the Indiana Jones one because that's not particularly what I collect. But whenever I do talk to Indiana Jones collectors, they've got something, whether it's a production sample or Well of the Souls or whatever it is, right?
They're all the play sets, and there's only, I believe, 2 for the Kenner line. The marketplace one especially, there's all those little pieces of fruit. There's baskets, there's basket lids, and Well of the Souls, there's a ton of snakes and stuff. So trying to piece it together, it's a nightmare.
and I feel like that set, because I've wanted one for a long time. I feel like I've run into more flags than I've run into Well of the Souls. Like
I didn't even know.
I have too.
I'm pretty sure Ken and I. What the heck is the Well of the Souls? Are you serious? Like,
I know what it is. I just don't know it's rare.
It's got a black metal Ark of the Covenant. It is.
I'm the only one here.
Cool set.
And it looks a little bigger because the back of the football case is mirrored, so it's not actually.
Okay, I was gonna say that looks a lot bigger than what I've seen.
Yeah, check it out when you get off the stream. Yeah,
okay.
It's
so I don't want to kill my fish. I don't want to kill my fish, but I would totally do that. Just so you know, Jay. I don't want to kill my fish.
The Kenner indie stuff is a really small set to collect, but it's very rare. Like every time I go to toy shows, go into toy stores, it's pretty rare you'll see anything of the Kenner indie stuff.
That's so expensive.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
Gorgeous stuff.
Anyway, Mega J, you've got something to show us here.
You jumped the gun, Ken. You jumped the gun. I was gonna preface this, but okay.
I have no idea what this is, Mega J. Just
we're gonna do it live. We're gonna do this live. Okay. Anyway, so basically, when I was a kid, one thing I always wanted, and I think this is another thing that you want to define as a Grail. One thing you always wanted was the stuff that never came out. The stuff that they were teasing for like forever. Because like they were talking about Unicron coming out when I was a kid. I remember first thinking, "Holy crap! When are we going to get Unicron?" Because my grandparents, a year prior, had brought Omega Supreme over, and I was losing my mind. I was like, "This thing walks. This thing is a freaking tank. Like, what else could they make? Well, like, what other monstrosity could they create?" And this is this is before Metroplex. This is before all those other Transformers. And then I saw Unicron on the big screen, and I was, dear God, when are they going to make this? When is this thing going to happen? And you know what? The first couple of pictures started coming out, and he was a freaking potato. You know what I mean? He was this giant.
Yes.
He was a beach ball. And I didn't care. I did not care. I was like, how much? Where is this thing? I was going nuts. I was going crazy. I was going absolutely crazy. And he never came out. And then, 3, I think it was 3 years ago now. Wow.
Yes.
3 years ago now. Holy crap. When you think about that. We've lost so much time, guys. We've lost so much time. But seriously, 3.5 years ago, I'm pretty sure that's what it is. It was out of nowhere. Seriously, did anybody really realize that was like quite literally? Like, I think it was like 2 weeks before a month before San Diego Comic-Con, right? A month before San Diego Comic-Con. Here comes this announcement. Yeah, guys, guess what we're doing? We're going to do a Haslab Unicron. Holy crap! None of us knew what was going on, and they were like, "Yeah, you only have a month to back this. Not 2 months, not a month and a half. You have 1 month to back this thing." And I literally lost it. I was like, "Oh my God, this is the one thing I've always wanted in my life, and I'm not going to get it because I don't get paid, and I have bills to pay, and this and that." And that's something that Haslab really has to get better at, like spacing out their stuff, because it's become a really big contention. Anyway, I'm moving on too much. So here it is, Unicron, my absolute Grail that I own. Right, this thing. Oh my God, this is what sold me. This behemoth.
Yes.
This behemoth sold me. Okay, this thing. I'm you know, alt mode is one of those funny things. Usually alt mode is the one that kind of suffers a lot of times. Usually they concentrate on the robot mode, but in this case I think that robot mode was overshadowed by planet mode. Planet mode was ridiculous, and I had the opportunity to see this at San Diego Comic-Con that year. I lost it. I completely lost it, and thankfully they did the extension, which they no longer do. If it runs out, it runs out. Lightsaber. Rancor. Anyway,
That was for the best.
I'm allergic to something here. I don't know what it is. But yeah, love that. And you know, just to keep moving, my other Holy Grail was going to be, and I talk about this a lot. It was at one point Solo Chokugan Voltron, but earlier just last year they totally blew that out of the water with Carbonics Blitzwave Voltron, which is ridiculously priced. Now I don't own this thing yet. I don't own this thing yet, but my good friend Daryl, a wonderful friend of the channel, but I've known him for years. He's a good friend. He lent me his to do a review and an unboxing. I still haven't done the review. I'm almost there. I've got all the lines sitting here right now. Honestly, the best Voltron ever. Seriously, in my opinion, this is the way that works. Again, these are Grails here. Yep. But a lot of people have other varying opinions. Is that fine? It's not your Voltron. It's not your Voltron. That's exactly what defines a Grail. And then earlier, like not even a few months ago, Jay, I hope you're enjoying yours. The 40th anniversary, wrong one. The 40th anniversary He-Man collection. Like seriously, this blew my mind, and I had to get it somehow. You know, I got in line with everybody else, got really lucky. You know, got a couple sets, and then my friend David just went and blew my mind and basically brought home a set for me. I was like, what the heck? And that's another thing. Sometimes what defines a Grail is who gave it to you.
Yeah, I would agree.
Something super special. Thankfully, both my parents are still here, but you know what? That can change your perspective like that. It really can. It can be a Care Bear. You know what I mean? It can be a what's it called? A Beanie Baby. It can be all those types of things. Those can be your Grails, right? And then Mondo, man, what the heck? You just break it. You're just tugging at my heartstrings, making me spend money I don't have.
Yes.
Seriously, right? Right? Like this is where things just get stupid, right? Like, oh my god, seriously, I had to have it. I had to put it on the Cecil. I had to do it, right? I don't have this money, but I can't miss out on this guy. Like seriously, him and his sister. Like, holy crap! Honestly, those are the ones that really are there. And again, these are more recent Grails. But for me, it's because they finally got announced. You know what I mean? They found things that I've been wanting for years. I didn't know I wanted a freaking Mondo, and now I have it. So.
And you jumped the gun as well, because I was thinking about, did the 1/6 stuff count? So I'll jump to that definitely in a bit. But first off, GeekDadLife.
I had a message in there. Didn't put it. Just put the money in there. Basically, this is a great stream, Ken. You're doing this is great. You know,
I appreciate that, and thank you so much for the very generous super chat as well as the one that you sent a few weeks back when we had John on here. But yes, and
you did a great job, Ken. And I just want to it's just some appreciation while I'm in it to say thank you for all the great content you put out there.
Nope, I definitely appreciate that. And some of that is just inspiration from watching the three of you gentlemen and other people. Like, you know, I'm not so much taking notes when I watch you folks on there, but I'm kind of like, oh, okay, so that's how they get past the awkward pauses and, you know, the occasionally weird comment in the chat. And, you know, when a topic gets covered too fast, how do they talk for another half an hour to fill the rest of the stream? So, you know.
Yeah. I always tell people it's like, because I'm a musician outside of this, and like music, you get inspired by people. Or it's like, oh, I like the way you did it. I'm going to put my spin on it or whatever. And so whenever it's like, I was like, take it, like make it your own. Like, I don't care. Like, I don't have that. This is not whatever. So.
Oh yeah, for sure. And you still got to do it your own way. Like even if you're grabbing something from somebody else, you're like, okay, yeah, but I'm not just gonna mimic that guy verbatim. Yeah. Yeah. Say what?
I'm saying you're still Ken, so even if it is, it's going to be it's going to be Ken's take.
Yeah,
absolutely.
You know what I've always noticed, and it'll probably happen today. But you know what? You can tell where your passions are, Ken, and that's what makes a good channel. Like as long as you're passionate and the people recognize that, this channel is going to continue to grow. And you know what you've been doing, you know, these past few months has been great. And you know what? I'm so honored to be here. Like a lot of people find that funny. You know, a lot of times like, oh my gosh, you're honored to be here. I'm like, yes, I am absolutely super honored to be here, right? It's not every day you get to share the screen with so many great YouTubers, and this is just a privilege to be here. And thank you, Ken, for hosting.
Well, I mean, and all three of you have watched across multiple platforms as well, and it's just been fun. Right? Like I was telling Jay Bartlett, he's kind of replaced Toy Hunter as my favorite reality toy guy.
Oh,
before we jumped on there.
Is that show still on? Like I haven't seen that in a long time. Anyway, so
Toy Hunter? No,
Hunter.
it was 2012 to 2014.
Yeah.
Well, to echo what Mega J said, I feel like all of us in the toy community, at least all the people I've met, it feels like we've been friends for a long time. Like it's really, it's awesome.
It's like a shared language, right? It's a shared language. That's why I always love getting with other. It's just because we understand each other's struggles and triumphs, and
the struggle is real.
Yeah.
It's really great when you get someone who's not from America, right? From North America, right? All of a sudden they're chiming in. They're like, oh my God, I love this, right? Whether they're from Mexico, from Germany, from the UK, from Australia. Yeah. And we all have the same feelings. It's crazy. And you're like, wait a second, there was G.I. Joe in the UK. It's like, it was called Freedom Force or whatever it was, right?
Oh, Action Force, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. And they're sharing their experiences, which are different. I love that. I love the fact that no one, like, everything's different. Everything's, but it's the same. It's the same but different. It's the same but different.
Whenever I talk to my usual co-host Zazel in Australia, his experiences were completely different. The release dates, everything were different. Or even like Jody, who actually sponsors my StreamYard in the Netherlands, his experiences are wildly different from mine. He's like, can you always talk about Generation 2 Transformers? We didn't have that over here, right? Or he had been past a certain age when Beast Wars came out, so he doesn't have the same attachment that that I do to it, right? As for the whole thing about Grails and the stories, everyone talks about in the chat, and you guys have been talking here about the attachment that you get through sort of your experience. And this is my Fortress Maximus and Grand Maximus, both with box from G1. But when I show a photo like this, I always have to be very careful and qualify. I'm not just showing two big Transformers with their boxes. There's a lot that goes into it, right? Like the Fortress Maximus on the right side, right? When I first got it, when I graduated from university in 2005, it was my grad gift to myself. And I'll never forget the story of picking it up from my friend bought one, and he used it to complete his, and he sold me the rest. So it was like my starter Fort Max. And I'll never forget putting it in the passenger seat and driving in the HOV lane home as what I did. And I'm like, if I get pulled over right now, it is worth it. And I never got pulled over.
That's great.
So that's what I did. And then the years went by, and I went to BotCon in 2010, back when BotCon was still a thing, though it might be coming back now, I'm not sure. And I found the last piece to complete my Fort Max at BotCon in 2010. And that's what made it special. Now, years later, I realized that, oh yeah, back when repro, there wasn't as big a divide between repro versus non-repro. I had a few repro parts, and this was the early days of repro parts. So some of my repro parts for Fortress Maximus fell apart, like literally disintegrated in my hands, like crumbled into sawdust, right? While that was going on, one of my best friends, who lives about 10 minutes up the road, Jeffrey, he was selling his other Fort Max. So I ended up buying that with the box and kind of mixing up the pieces together to kind of make my better Fort Max. And about a year later, he sold me his spare Grand Maximus, which is the one on the left side, which only appeared in the Master Force cartoon in 1988, so it was never available over here, so it's very expensive. Now, the first time I had the chance to buy Grand Max, again, he's the one on the left for people who aren't familiar, it was 2004. I was still a student. I didn't pick one up. The chance came in 2021, kind of at a bad time. I bought a bunch of other things, and then I was like, you know what, screw it, I'm gonna put myself on a payment plan to get this. And I asked Jeffrey, because he sold me that one as well, can I pay you in 3 payments? I'll give you a few hundred now, and the balance later. He agreed to it. So, and the funny part about it is, it's such a high-end and hard-to-get figure. He's so obsessed with his Transformers. I bought his reject. So as much pride as I have here, I'm still glomming over those with better collections. Like I bought his reject Grand Max, but it's a holy grail to me. And it was a holy grail to him as well. Right? But a lot of I'm doing a collection tour right now. A lot of the stuff in there, a lot of my box Transformers, I'm buying people's like semi beat up box ones because they're upgrading to like minty museum quality. So no matter how great your collection is, You know, that's why I always tell people, don't flaunt, don't flex. Like, I go a little crazy when I see people on Facebook saying, well, I've got that, but I've got this as well, and my collections, and they're finding indirect ways to say how much better their collection is. I'm like, I got the journey, and that journey is priceless. You know, between HOV lanes and pieces crumbling in my hands and picking up the last piece at BotCon and buying my best friend's reject. And that guy never shares his collection to anyone. So like the best Transformers collection I've seen is a guy who never shares photos. So take from that what you will. What
I love about the disintegrating third party or repros is you could almost have like the old knight sitting there going, he chose poorly.
That's funny.
But no, I totally agree. Like the braggadocio around it's kind of like, it's like people that go to Harvard and keep telling you they go to Harvard, or they do CrossFit and they keep telling you go to CrossFit. It's like, okay, cool, good for you.
It's very off-putting when someone does that. Where I can tell like the four of us are pretty humble, right? So I mean, I can see all the great figures in all of our backdrops, but I don't get the sense that it's like, oh well, my flag has the fantail rail and yours doesn't, you know.
Mm-hmm. Well, I had that recently as well. So from just on Facebook. Sorry, Mega J.
No, I was just kidding. I'm the greatest YouTuber ever, man. I don't know what Jay's talking about.
Like, we all know that. So
yeah, we know that, Mega J.
No, but you know what I love about that story, Ken? I love the fact that you risk, no matter what. I'm always gonna remember now that you risk jail time. Like, I'm sorry, you risked a fine, well over $200 just to take Archus Maximus on a spin on the HOV. That's gonna be my forever.
I don't know how the Canadian courts go, but I feel like if you're in the U.S., you'd have a case. You'd have a case to say, I could have been in the HOV. This is a person. This is big enough to be a person.
He needs to be. He's delicate. He's so delicate. He needs to be protected.
Mm-hmm.
It was an emergency. It was an emergency situation. I had to get him home as quickly as possible.
Had to hide him, although hide from who? Because I wasn't married at the time. So hide from who I'd have to.
That's when you know it was like an expensive purchase. Like even if you're not with anybody, you're like, I gotta sneak this one into the house.
So I have to ask now, Ken. Was it busy? Was there any traffic? Like,
no, I jumped in the HOV lane just for the sake of the story. There was nobody on the road.
Oh, I love that.
That's crazy. That's amazing.
And as far as Grails go as well, it doesn't just have to be has it not popped up? There it is. Like, it doesn't just have to be like we said, it can be vintage, can be modern. Mm-hmm. It can also be like what it represents, like this core grouping here of Avengers. That to me is like, I got the group. This is iconic. You can build a collection around that. This whole plane could be a centerpiece. Now, I grant you it's all in storage right now while I rotate something else into the collection, but this is another particular thing. And the other day, somebody randomly messaged me because I'm filming a collection tour, and somebody randomly messaged me to because I posted this picture on Instagram. They're like, "How can I get your Hot Toys Hulk?" And I'm like, buy one on eBay. They're like, no, but I want to trade for yours. I'm like, you want to incomplete my Avengers set? Like, you could offer me Thanos on the throne with the Infinity Gauntlet, and I would say no. And he wouldn't leave me alone. He's like, here's all my pictures. Pick what you want for the Hot Toys Hulk. And I'm like, this is not happening. It's the first time you've ever messaged me, right? And he even replied me on Instagram to say, Ken Poe, please check DMs, or Toy Connection, check DMs. Like, no, like, leave me alone. Like, this is not happening, right? So, but each one I picked for a specific reason as well. Like for Thor, because I did read some of the comics, like the Walt Simonson run from back in the day. So I wanted the bare arms Thor, right? I wanted Captain America that was more, that wasn't the spandexy version from the 2012 Avengers film. You know, Iron Man has to be the Mark 7 because that was the big battle of New York, right? Yep. So that's kind of just among the reasons.
I'm a little bit envious because I was like, I'm gonna do the same. Like when I went head first in the Hot Toys. So I had that Iron Man, I had that Black Widow, and then I think I had the first Avengers cap, but I bailed out. Like I chickened out. I was like, there's no way I could do the Hulk or whatever, and I chickened out and I sold them. But now that I see this, I'm like, I made a terrible mistake.
Yeah, those are beautiful. Hot Toys is that's a different beast. I dabbled briefly in Star Wars, and I'm like, I can't do this.
No, I would love to get into 1/6. I really would. my first dabbling is going to be Mondo. Like, and I was so close to getting the Power Rangers 6-pack that was available from when Hasbro did their sale.
Mhm.
And right when I decided to actually dive in, it sold out. I was so upset. I was absolutely. I could have gotten it for it was almost 60%. It was like 40% off. I was losing my mind when I said, I can't believe I missed out on that. But you know, that's what it's like to have, you know, these desirable things. They know how to get you. They know how to get you.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
by the way, that story that you just told, though, Ken, you're gonna find that a lot. You know, like if that's your first experience with that, there are people out there who will not take no for an answer. Like it just happens, and you know they mean well. I think they mean well, but really at the end of the day, it's okay to say no, and it's okay to, unfortunately, sometimes you have to block them. Like,
Yeah,
and I haven't got to that experience yet, but just last week somebody saw my Masters Universe Classics stuff. And first he was asking, can you take more photos for me? And I'm like, well, it's buried and I can't exactly get to it. And even if I could, who are you? Right? And then his next question, his next question to me was, would you like 5,000 followers on Instagram? I'm like, what?
No,
and he's just like,
he was,
yeah,
that sounds legit. I hope he said yes.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm sorry, excuse me. And he was like, and I should have just left at that point, right? And he was like, yeah, if I give you my account and you send me some of your Masters Universe Classics, and I'm like, look, if I ever get 5,000 followers on Instagram, I want it to be 5,000 that I built on my own, not because I bought your account.
Yeah.
Right. I started my account less than a year ago. So what if I only have 300 or 325 followers? It's 325 followers I built on my own. If one of you was to say, do you want 10 to 12,000? I'll just give you my channel right now. You can have all the monetization. I'd be like, but I didn't earn it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, but you know there is okay. So well, on that though, just to you know give some perspective on that. If you build a channel with somebody else and that person decides that they no longer want to be there, right? Because, you know, they're burned out or whatever, that's a different scenario, right? Because
very different scenario,
together, right? And basically, you know, but I know exactly what you're saying. You'd rather, of course, you want to be proud of what you built, right? I mean, like it's just what it is. And who are these people? You've never made a connection with them, right? So are they going to stick around after you take over? Like it's crazy.
I feel like, is that like the toy collector's equivalent of like the Nigerian prince email or something? Just like
pretty much.
It's like, if you give me your classics collection, I'll get you 5,000 followers.
And some of the stuff you said here about that all of you have said about passion, like Jay Bartlett on one of the episodes of Action Figure Adventure, right? You saw the sail barge, right? And you see your passion when you see it at the window, and you're like, he's not going to sell this to me because it's a window prop, right? Yeah. And then you see Eternia, and you're like, okay, I got to pull it down. You're like, it's not complete enough. I can't make it work, right? And then you finally, like when you finally get to that auction, you were sitting with one other person and Justice Curie to kind of host the final countdown of the auction. And Justice Curie was bidding on the auction while hosting the show with you, which I thought was absolutely hilarious. So like we surround ourselves by people who
he won the original Kenner Ecto 1. This is before the reissue came out. He was bidding on it as he was hosting this live event. It's pretty funny, man. It was cool. Yeah, but it's the passion is.
Can you do that?
Well, he did.
Yeah, he was on camera.
I think he kept looking down, and Rob is the director. We're here in
Rob McCallum.
Yeah, Rob McCallum, and we're in the backyard filming the end of the show live, and Rob's just like, he's looking at his phone. I'm like, oh god, his need to want the Ecto 1 was just too strong, I guess. But
I can understand from a producer perspective. It's like, oh, he's looking at his phone. I wonder how this is going to be on TV. But to the person on the other end watching, it's hilarious because he's holding up his phone going, I was outbid at the last second, or I want. So for us, it's hilarious, right?
I think him and Motu Joe was the other host as well. Those guys, they wanted so much stuff from the auction, so it was really cool to see that.
You know what I find? I find that, see, YouTube is a different thing. Right, YouTube is. This isn't television, right? This isn't something where you know things are going to happen naturally, or things are not scripted, right? This. If you want to talk about reality TV, this is reality TV. And if you were there and it was actually happening, people are watching. They're like, "What's he doing? Like, what's that?" Like, and people want to know what's happening. And you know, if you had even just made a comment like, "Are you bidding?" And he says, "Yeah." And that would be that moment, right? That would have made the episode in a lot of ways, right? Seriously, like this is why YouTube is what it is. It's people connecting with people, and I think that's why I love doing this. It's crazy,
and that's why I'm looking forward to season 2, because you got Pixel Dan there as well. Yeah, I was talking to Jeremy Gerard from Four Horsemen Studios. I don't know if he's in this season, but he was in the last one. And there's just so many people, and like you said, Mega J, this is reality TV, and that reality show is an extension of kind of what we do here. So.
It is, yeah, and I gotta say, none of the stuff we do is staged in any way, because if anybody's ever seen me try to act, it's hilarious because I can't act, so you would know right away.
Absolutely. So kind of like the last main question. I got a couple other questions here, but the thing I wanted to ask was, is there a holy grail that you've been glomming over that you still want and you haven't found it yet, and it's kind of your white whale? Geek Dad, let's go with you. What's your next grail you're glomming over?
Well, I just got it, and that's why I put it right here behind me, right here.
You can show it to us. I'll put you on solo layout. Give me a second.
Yeah, there it is. The Gargoyles Castle playset.
Beautiful, man. Wow.
Which I don't know how much of it's like a grail for a lot of it. Again, it's just like for me personally, the kind of my disappointment with the wings on the NECA Gargoyles. I was like, maybe I should just like dive into the vintage collection. And then I just kind of dived head first and just bought a bunch of the figures. And I always knew the castle was rare, but I didn't know at how rare it was. And I think the NECA thing did it for a lot of people, because the value of these castles has gone up like exponentially. Because I was trying to find carded examples I was going to open up, so I had like a really nice minty collection. That's a problem with the vintage ones. The wings break, all that. There's just finding a loose vintage set's really hard. That's not all beat up. So anyway, a recent Castle Grayskull went on eBay, and so it's like $1,700 sealed or something. I was like, dang it, this is never gonna happen. Gargoyles
Castle, right?
What's the Gargoyles Castle? Yeah, it was like 17 something. I was like,
sorry, you said Castle Grayskull.
Either or, if it was sealed, it's still a grail, right? So.
But so anyway, kind of the chance happened, and I was able to pick it up, and now it's here. It just arrived like yesterday, so it kind of worked out perfectly for this stream. I was like, I just got one.
It's wicked, man. Congrats. So
we're seeing it for the first time. So
first time.
Oh God,
so
beautiful.
We showed it here before we showed it on Toy Geeks, and
yeah, exactly. I'll talk about it more tonight, but I'm just so pumped. It is missing. I think it's missing one. Well, I was actually missing a few pieces, but then I quickly went to eBay and then bought those pieces. So now I think I'm just missing like one piece, but the rest of it's complete. Sticker sheet, all the inserts, even the Kenner cross sell little guides in there. Can't wait to. I haven't even opened it yet. It's just been sitting here. I took it out of the box and put it back there.
Well, Jay Bartlett, what's
yeah. So I'm very thankful. Like all of us, I've been doing this my entire life. So a lot of the stuff I've set out to get, I do have. But I'm now diving deep into the Holy Grail stuff for myself. The rarest of the rare in my eyes. One piece would be the Matchbox SDF1 from Robotech playset. You never see it. That, as well as the Mego Buck Rogers playset, the Starship Hangar, which half of it is the actual box because that's the landing strip. Stuff like that I'm really interested in, and the Mego stuff, especially that, and like the Starship Enterprise bridge. The plastic is so fragile and frail that most of this stuff did not survive. So if I could pick up any one of those, that would be great. The Robotech one, I think, is the challenge among challenges for myself, though.
Fair enough.
That bridge is so I found one at our flea market, but it was all like yellowed and cracked. And I was like,
That's another problem too, right? That plastic just and when it's yellow, it's not that you kind of don't want it because it looks dirty. It looks like cigarette smoke. Like when some people have the Super NESs that yellow for no reason. You don't really want to put that on display, right? You want a nice white one. But
and then
that plastic just yellows.
But you can retro bright it, but that bridge is so thin. Retro bright kind of brittles the plastic more. So it's
that's what I was gonna say. I was gonna say you probably could try, But I watch the 8-bit guy, and he's actually had situations where retro writing has actually destroyed the original plastic.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things. He ended up just painting it, and it's one of those things. Where do you decide that this thing is actually still vintage? Is vintage where you leave it alone and you don't touch it, or do you have to make it pristine again and restore it to what you want it to be, and then in the process probably breaking it on certain regards. So it's touch and go. It is your collection. You can do whatever you want, but yeah, just crazy.
Childhood ones have a little bit of extra nostalgia though, right? Like I have upgraded my childhood one before with something that looks a little bit nicer. Not so much a Grail, but then I look at it and I'm like, darn, I got rid of my childhood one. So the attachment's kind of still there.
I think any of those really rare, fragile examples, at this point, I'd be happy just to have an example of it. I wouldn't care if it was yellowed at this point, because it's, all these years, I've never ran into that stuff really. So,
fair enough. Mega J, did you have a screen you wanted to share?
Yeah. I'm gonna preface this just before we get started, though. First of all, I want to apologize to Jay. The only reason I perked up so quickly and corrected Jay so fast was because I'm always on the lookout for darn classics Castle Grayskull. So the moment he said, "Yeah, Castle Grayskull was on sale for 1,700," I was like, he's talking about gargoyles. I was like, God damn it! And but as I always say, I'm not paying $1,000, but we're going to get to that in a second. Sure. So one of the things that I always I'm on the lookout, always on the lookout. I've always wanted was a cartoon from my childhood, which not a lot of people recognize. Some people do because certain states got it, certain provinces got it, but a lot of people have never ever heard of this. It's from a series called Force 5. Which was a series of Japanese animated giant robots, and I just love this series. And one of the major grails that came out. Now, actually, so here's the other thing. I actually got one of these, the original small version from Solo Chokugen, which is a line of die-cast Bandai toys, which were made for adults. To mimic the Popey version. Again, a lot of you guys aren't even going to understand what the heck I'm talking about, but just follow me. Okay.
No, I kind of know.
So basically, these are an homage to the original Popies that were made back in the late 70s, early 80s. And I got the original version, which came out for Solo Chokugen, and it was beautiful. I loved it, but it was always just too dang small, because we're talking about a giant freaking mecha dragon, right? That's really what we're talking about, this huge freaking thing. Then late last year, for their anniversary, for Bandai's anniversary for Solo Chokugen, they went and slammed every Solo Chokugen fan out literally smacked them in the face and said, "Hey, wake up, because we just got this amazing figure." You can put it on the screen now. We got this amazing figure for you. We have the properly scaled Solo Chokugen Space Dragon. This thing is freaking gigantic. This thing is absolutely massive. It's just with the tail extended, it's bigger than the Thunder Tank. This thing is absolutely massive. And it comes with an actual Guy King, which I did not get because I had an opportunity to get this one by itself. But I decided not to pull the trigger on it because it wasn't the right, it didn't have the dragon, right? Again, my headcanon works that way. Now I got to figure out where the heck am I going to put a Thunder Tank, this thing, right, and Eternia. Like these are the toy problems that we're starting to come into with our older ages. But yeah, this thing's amazing. It transforms. It does all the bells and whistles. It comes with a freaking little, support vehicles. Like this thing is just a behemoth. That's absolutely huge. Here's the funny thing about this. Much like Jay from GeekDadLife.
Which one?
It's that Jay. No, it's not Jay. Much like Jay from GeekDadLife, this is actually in my collection technically because I've already got it in Vancouver. It's been sitting there for the last 4 months because of COVID, all this other stuff, and I still have a few more payments to make on it because this is the American price, guys. Think about that.
Wow.
Canadian price. It's a little over $1,200. Okay, shipped. Okay, so this will be by far the most expensive, black hole I've ever dived into willingly. So that's my holy grail one. My second holy grail has to be the Batmobile from Hot Toys. Oh my god, this thing is freaking beautiful!
Wow,
holy crap!
I had a chance once and I didn't do it. And I still regret to this day.
Jay, what the hell? I would have donated to you. Like seriously.
It was at I ordered it originally and then dipped out on the pre-order. And then I was at a toy show where they were selling it for like $400, and I was like,
"Oh God,
I should do it." And then by the end of the day, somebody picked it up. I was like,
"Oh my heart!" That's exactly what happened to me with the 1/6 Power Rangers. I just waited too long.
Yeah.
It was just too many people figured it out and it was gone.
So that's sorry, Mega J. That's the actual, like, you can put the actual Hot Toys Batman in that.
Yeah.
So it's fully scaled. Wow.
Oh yeah, it's amazing. And it does both features of Returns and the first film. Like, it has the pin that comes down, so it does that, that turn thing.
The torpedo.
Dude, that's amazing.
I was like, again, it's one of those things you got to hunt for it now. You know what I mean? So it is what it is. And apparently a Canadian site has it on sale, and you can do payment plans. I might have just lost it again because somebody but it says right here. It's out of stock. Yeah, it's out of stock. It's out of stock. And then, but this is the Grail. This is, for me. This is it. Just like what again. My ears perked up when GeekDadLife Jay said that it was $1,700. Again, I am not looking for a $1,700 version. I'm looking for anything sub 1,000, which is never going to happen. But I'm always on the lookout for this. I'm so envious of everybody who has one. And I'm not, again, I also live vicariously through everybody who has one, because I do love this thing so much, right? By the way, let's do this right. So these photos come courtesy of the Foosh. The other ones, of course, are public sites, so I don't really feel like I need to give too much credit on those. Yeah. But these photos do come courtesy of the Foosh.
Yep. So thank you, Robo.
Yeah, exactly. Robo always does a bang up job. Awesome stuff. Loving the, I'm so in love with this thing. I just can't get enough of it. Seriously. And that's why I was so, Ken, you and I were dreaming, hoping and just like praying that there would be a Revolutions, Castle Grayskull announced. And, I'm going to do that petition. I hope you guys will join me, because I really want, not a replacement, but I want an upgrade to this, because I can't get this, right? And I'm really hoping that we might in the future somehow find and see Revelations, or by some miracle, somebody really generous will come to me one day and say, "Jay, I'm getting rid of my collection. What do you what do you want to offer me for this?" And I don't want to insult you, but I can't pay anything more than this. And some angel collector comes out of nowhere and says, "All right, Jay, I'll give you a solid." And
I feel like you probably could, because I think I saw at PowerCon there was a boxed one selling for $1,000.
Oh God.
So I feel like you could get one sub $1,000. Like, even at that show, I bet you, if you were like, could you do $750, and the dealer product isn't gonna want to carry that crap back, I'm like, all right, fine.
I will FedEx it. I will do whatever to get it home.
I got to spend some time with this and shoot it for the show, and go down a little bit to show the floor, Mega J.
Yeah.
The addition to the floor, you place the floor. It's like it kind of clips onto the base, and it's just amazing. Like the 3D stuff, the spacesuit and everything, that's awesome.
It was.
I love the floor because it just makes it seem so much bigger.
Yeah. Like
it's a beautiful piece.
I mean, how much bigger could it be, right? But I mean, like, it's just one of these things. Like obviously, for many of us here, Motu has just been part of our lives for decades, right?
Yeah.
And when classics came out, I totally missed the boat on this. I would have been on every single subscription if I knew. But when you're knee deep into your career, right? You have a girlfriend, you're doing things together, and these things become secondary, right? Yeah, and it's crazy how now that we're older and we have the opportunity, we have the time, we have the money. Now it's like, damn it, I need this thing. But there comes a point, and this is something that I think a lot of collectors need to take into a perspective. I guess Justice Curry aside, you have to have some sort of budget, and that wasn't a slight, that was just a joke. You have to have a budget. You have like these things are expensive, right? And I love Justice Curry, by the way. So don't like that was literally.
I already tweeted it, Mega J Retro. I'm sorry, I already tweeted.
That was literally.
We were talking about this actually. Me and Articulated Chad were talking about this last week, and I would love to have a subscription-based service come back because Mega J, like you, I love the classics, but I have to live through Michael Mercy's collection. Because he actually was there from day one, so that's why he has like all of them, right? He got them.
He has two, right? He even has like a shield and a. Yeah.
But I missed that. I would love for that to come back, and I think that would solve a lot of these pre-order problems. Everyone missing out on this and that. I think they should bring it back for a couple of these IPs.
I will say, like being someone that subbed from the beginning as well and traded away the whole collection. To my co-host John. So when you see his background, his Castle Grayskull, all those figures, that was my collection. I will say, like, one, I while I do love the Classics Grayskull, and I'll probably try and get another one at some point. The reason I traded all away because I was like, I finally have enough room to display my Eternia. I can't have an Eternia plus all the vintage play sets take up space as well as classics take up space. And I had my classics displayed for like 10 years at that point. So I was like, all right, it's time to trade for these other things that I need. But the thing with the pitfall of the subscription became after that like first year, they threw in a lot of figures. I was like, crap, I don't want this one. Or it got to the point where you were committing a lot of money and you were getting things that you necessarily didn't want. So I do agree. It's a nice thing to have, but there's downfalls to that as well, because especially at the time, like that was a lot of money coming out of my bank account every single month. So, where some months I was like, oh, I don't really.
And I think you had to get the full wave.
Yeah, you had to do a whole year.
That's what I was gonna say. Like you had to commit. Like if there was like some B-side character you didn't want, you couldn't just select it, right? You had to buy everything.
Wow.
Molar, the attorney and dentist. If you didn't want him, you still ended up.
Well, that was a Comic-Con exclusive. So nobody.
Wow.
You know what? And the reason I love classics so much. The same reason I love collecting Star Wars stuff is because, well, at least Star Wars used to bring out all those aliens that just walked across the screen for 1 second. They made a figure of them, right, in the 2000s. So that's why I love classics, because those villains that were only in, like Plundar, the rabbit or whatever, they only use in one episode, and they made a figure of them. I love that stuff.
And that's the way they did it, right? Because they had that you committed to a year of purchasing these things.
I can see that's
it was tough. Like again, I had a much stricter budget then, and then there's some of those ones like I can't swing this, but you had to pay it anyway, and you just had to like figure it out.
And it was
I was just gonna say I could almost see if collecting masters was like your only thing. I don't know any of us collectors, and I mean I don't know anyone. It just does one thing.
Yeah,
it's just a Joe guy or just a Transformers guy. I don't know anyone who does that. But if there was one, I could see it making sense perhaps for that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and see that seems to be the problem with not to get too off topic, but that seems to be the problem with Haslab. Haslab continues to make these issues where it's almost like they're ignoring the fact that there are crossover collectors. They'll do a Haslab for Star Wars, but then immediately the same month they'll do another Haslab for G.I. Joe. And it's like, what are you guys doing? Like you're basically killing, you're cannibalizing your market, right? You were literally asking the same people to choose between their children. Like I use that term a lot because seriously, these are grails for people, right? The Hess tank is a grail. The Rancor is a grail, right? The Sky Striker, the Proton Pack, for crying out loud.
Reva's lightsaber was a grail.
Yeah.
Keep the Price is Right fail noise.
Yeah.
I got a sad trombone. Here we go.
There you go.
Yes, we have gotten the GeekDadLife trombone on this channel. That was off my bucket list.
Have you got that on Elgato? Is that just ready to go? Is that?
No, I have the Rodecaster Pro. It's
wow. That's
highly recommend. Not very expensive. Does a great job.
That's crazy.
Awesome. Yeah. If you can have a permanent setup, like me, my setup is very makeshift. So once I can get a more permanent setup, I'd love to get some of that extra stuff. But anyway, sorry. Carry on about the classics.
No, that's where I am. Like, and anytime somebody mentions it, literally, and just like what I did to poor GeekDadLife J over here. I literally like, wait, no, that's not what you're talking about. You're talking about something else. And I gotta literally like police myself. It's like, stop it, just stop doing that, right? But,
no, but you had a reason though. It's because you were gonna pull up this one. That's why you were like, gargoyles or grayscale. You're very different than the people I sometimes get who correct people for the sake of correcting people, and I'm getting that a lot in my comment section.
Oh yeah,
right now, like especially the one who's like, hey, you didn't mention this, and they didn't get to the end of the video. But I did mention it. And then there's a follow-up comment. Oh, I commented too soon. You did mention it. But you could have also mentioned da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Right? And I was like, oh my goodness, like you should have just deleted your first comment instead of doubling down. Right? And speaking of that, like shout out to my good friend here who just super chatted, because the last time that happened, I did not need to respond because Ryan Sweeney went and basically took care of that guy and basically was like, this is, you know, like you really should have, you know, you put your foot in your mouth, buddy. And here's why. And Ryan not only did that, he sent a nice super chat just now saying great conversation, gents, and a great panel.
Yeah. And you know what? As you know, even though I am the greatest YouTuber of all time, you know, Jay Bartlett did mention, you know, we are rather humble here, right? So you know, just
you just updated your banner to that, right, Mega J? I think you just updated your banner. Greatest YouTuber.
So you've gone through a name change. It's gonna be called greatest YouTuber of all time, just like how have some rebranded toy anxiety recently. So you're just gonna rebrand.
You know, Ken, I only do that on your channel because I'm a heel here, right? I'm the heel on this channel. I gotta make sure that I bring it right? So, you know, none of these Jays are better than me. None of these Jays are better than me.
Hey, fair, man.
Of all time.
I'm deactivating my YouTube account after this because I can't compete.
Stick to television. Just go over there in that corner.
Yeah. You have more of a TV face.
There you go, and the TV hair when he doesn't have the ponytail going. But
I had to do that for Ken's channel because we always end up degrading. No matter what happens, like actually Ken does this in other channels too. It ends up getting to the point where we start talking about heels and you know heroes and it's just the whole thing turns into a WWE AEW fest, and you know what?
Basically, and like Ryan Sweeney and I right now we're going back and forth because on the Slaughterhouse Wrestling Championship next, it's the Hitman versus the Mountie, and I'm voicing the Hitman, he's voicing the Mountie. And the way the promos went, obviously you think Hitman is the face, the good guy, and the Mountie is the heel. But the way the promos went with how he kept goading me with his underdog stuff on all his promos, like, you know, Hitman, you had everything handed to you. And I end up responding back with all my promos, and Zazel's got all this saved, and he's going to air it as part of the Slaughterhouse Wrestling Championship. And I'm going, yeah, Mountie, I got it all handed to me, and you'll be forgotten by the end of this. And I'm like, oh my goodness, did Ryan just turn me into the heel? Did he just make Bret Hart the bad guy? And so he's punching up with his underdog story, and it's great. And it's going to come out basically where Hitman basically became the bad guy. And we never planned that. We never scripted any of it. But yes, everywhere I go, we get this heel versus face thing going.
Yeah,
because it's fun.
I threw it down. None of these Jays are better than me. I am the greatest Jay. I am the greatest Jay of all time.
I concur though. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, I think.
Yeah, I agree too. I already deactivated my account. So I appreciate that.
I turned my lights out while he was talking. So just like, you know, no response. You notice the lights are the lights are off. You didn't even notice.
Because like I know I said battery life be damned, but I really should save the batteries.
You got to do one of those where the camera goes off, and then all of a sudden, you know, you hear dong. Dong. Right? And all of a sudden he's like
Undertaker.
That's right, the Undertaker.
Yeah. Before I forget though, I do want to mention something that I've been chasing down. Now, if you go back to a video I did when I acquired the Diaclone Battle Convoy, which is the precursor to Optimus, I went on about how, yes, it's got Optimus's facade, but it was Diaclone Battle Convoy, it's not Optimus, and how that Holy Grail means something to me because it was the genesis of what became Transformers for the next 4 decades and counting. And because of what it represents in toy history, that was my white whale for almost 20 years before I got that. It was like 18 and a half years before I finally tracked one down again, because like my other stuff, I saw it as a student, didn't see it again for decades, and then got it. But on that same note, the Micro Change Megatron, the Gun Robo, that's another one that also represents almost equally and maybe arguably equally as important as Battle Convoy. That's a Grail that I really, really want for that reason. And also the Defiant Space Shuttle, and not just because it's kind of a big thing, and that's kind of why I don't have one. It's a big thing, but in the late 80s, on my 7th birthday, I don't know why this was still around in 89 because they're 87 toys, but whatever. That's a whole nother Canada getting stuff late thing. My mom asked me what I wanted. This was back when they were affordable, and I picked the Mobile Command Center. I'll never forget it at Toy City, just up the road, which has now become a Staples center. I went up and I think I kissed the box of the Mobile Command Center, and I've told the story before. So I ended up getting that for my birthday when I could have gotten the Defiant. So because of that, the Defiant's always been a holy grail because it's the one I could have had. So there's always that sentimental value and what it means to either toy history or your personal history that kind of makes the Grail.
That was one of those Grails that, because I had the mine is I have Terradrome and the flag. And then I had space. I was like, I'm gonna put the Defiant there. If this room, my final form of my toy rooms, it'll never be more than this. And it was so sad. I was like, it's not gonna fit. It doesn't fit. The Defiant is so stupid big. That was a stupid big one because it's just doesn't really fit well.
It's the squareness of the footprint.
Yes,
is what it is, and the way it angles, right?
Yeah.
I mean, a flag, you know what you're getting into, but the Defiant, you don't realize how much bigger it is than like the Mobile Command Center until you get it.
Well, it just more awkwardly takes up more space, weirdly, than my flag, which you can kind of put it against the wall, and then it sits there well.
Well, now you got me thinking. Do I want to try to track down a Defiant, even though I can't store it anywhere? Like my Terradrome is literally in storage, and so is my
So many pieces break on the Defiant too. Like there's one at my local toy shop, like across the way. And it's been sitting there a while, and it's just like that one's a tough one to get like complete without any broken pieces because it's so freaking heavy. Like it just crumbles under its own weight. That's the other part of the Defiant that's always kind of like
And getting the two figures too for that is not easy.
Yeah.
I've got those, but I don't have the Defiant. But I got them before the price hike of I don't know, like.
Well, look at you.
I feel like
Hey,
Ken, you know we did our GI Joe thing for Hooded Cobra Commander a couple months back. You know what a huge Falcon fan I am, and you were talking about your Night Force collection, so you must have Night Force Falcon. What if I were to offer you 1,500, 2,000 followers for your Night Force Falcon? What do you think? Is that a good trade or?
Guys, it's time for a bathroom break, so let's you gents keep chatting for a couple minutes. It's time for a bathroom break. But thank you for that ability to exit, Mr. Bartlett. Yeah. All right, bathroom break time. I'll catch you gents in a couple of minutes.
Okay, so I guess that's a no then.
No, I feel like he's contemplating the offer now. The bathroom break he needs
it's that Shark Tank moment where the sharks, they pull off.
Okay, boys, you gotta help me here, and everyone in the chat, please. How am I gonna get him 2,000 followers now? I gotta think about how to do that. Send the Falcon first. One step at a time.
This is the Flipor scheme here. We got to do the Flipor scheme.
There you go. I'm becoming a heel. I've been hanging out with Mega J too long here. I'm starting to scheme. I gotta say, your Unicron, I've got to get my I've got my hands on. I don't own one, but I've got to play around with one, man. And I agree with you, dude. That is one of the coolest Grail pieces out there. That thing is worth every single penny. I mean, I couldn't believe the stand on the thing. The stand alone is just gigantic.
Yeah.
Okay, so fun fact, I had to transform him because the stand was taking up too much space. I'm not gonna lie about like there's a stand, and then when he sits on it, it's just this huge footprint. It's just ridiculous. Like, believe it or not, he takes up less room transforming. It's just crazy.
So cool with the little Galvatron and the little hot rod.
Those things stay in the box. I can't, like, they will get sucked up by some sort of, like, even if I'm just dusting around, the things are gone. There's no way I can even, like, and apparently they, for the San Diego Comic-Con exclusive Galvatron that they did a couple years ago, they actually had like an entire collection of a couple of Dinobots, a couple of Ultra Magnus, who was my all-time favorite, and I couldn't get him. But yeah, these are the things that happen. But yes, that's absolutely what it is.
Still think he's the best Haslab that there's been so far. That's just my opinion. I think that one is just
I
amazing.
regret not getting it because I saw it at Comic-Con. How much do they go for now? What's the secondary market on
God,
that?
I hope it's within reach, because honestly, last time I checked, somebody like it's getting up to Castle Grayskull prices. It really is, and that's scaring the hell out of me. And we're talking about loose. We're not even talking about in box. Like people are going crazy for. This is one of the things.
Ooh, this is not pretty. It's more. It's more that. Hold on, let me see. I gotta go to sold. Hold on. There's a quick sticker shock there.
Oh, the non-sold, the active auctions, yeah.
Yeah, hold on. I'll share screen. So
no, please don't.
Sounds good. You can share screens.
You're safe, Jay. You already have it. So
no, but I feel, I feel for people though, right? Like I know what it's like. Holy shit! Oh my god!
This is loose.
That's what I'm saying. Loose. I'm talking about loose. Oh my god!
Now this is a good deal. Somebody didn't look at the current prices.
Well, you know what though? Find out there might be a dent or something. Like, that's the other thing about that. Or you know what? Somebody got really lucky. That happens.
That's what I'm saying. I think they listed it what they thought it was. Oh, I can't even. Why can't you show it to me?
No, I think you clicked
the
did I do the wrong thing? Oh, damn it! Hold on. What?
Maybe because it's a sold one.
No, did he pull it? I think he pulled it.
He must have pulled. He must have canceled the sale or something. He probably saw.
I think he pulled it, and or the guy bailed on him. That happens a lot too, right?
I think so. Yeah. Anyway, though, $1,700.
Why would you bail on an $800 sale? That's crazy.
No, that's my guess is the seller probably said, "Oh, it got damaged." As I was trying to pack it.
That's true. That's true. Oh my god, that thing's already. Oh my god, that just makes me cry. Seriously,
you know what? Mega J, I've got a Castle Grayskull. I'll trade you it for your Unicron.
Like I said, this is okay. You freaking. All right, Jay, I got a deal for you, brother. I've got the idea. I know what to do. I'll take half your collection for my Unicron. How does that sound?
That actually might work because I don't have any space. I'm in significant space danger, so this might actually work.
And he's saying it in his Hulk Hogan voice there. So
yeah.
So I did mull over Jay Bartlett's offer on the Night Force Falcon. So if you can up that to about 5,000 followers, I would heavily consider. No, actually, I wouldn't. What am I talking about? We moved past that already. That doesn't. Yeah.
We were just discussing. I don't know how I would get you those followers anyway, my friends. So,
okay. Well, there's bots you can buy, and
it's far beyond me.
Well, the twist of this is I made a fake account and I messaged you that, Ken, for the 5,000 followers. It was me all along.
Oh, okay.
Your turn.
That because it was a classic collection. You're trying to get that. That's why it happened.
The true heel. The true heel has
been a true heel turn.
All along.
It is. GeekDadLife has done it.
Yeah. But yeah, there are definitely a ton of grails we haven't mentioned here. But if someone's going to say something in the comments, I'm sure Dick Tracy Blank is one of those. Adam's already mentioned the high play set. TMNT Scratch the Cap or Hotspot. Those are grails that are out there.
I kicked myself for not buying those when they were way cheaper. Like I could have gotten a scratch for like $150 loose, and I saw it was like $1,500. Like, dang it! You think these things will be around for a while at a certain price, and that was a bad.
But does Scratch have enough going for it? Because I was telling on the Canadian stream a few months ago that like the Star Wars Last 17, another one we haven't talked about here, and no, I'm not going to touch Rocket Firing Boba Fett because that's like a mortgage in a bit. But like the Last 17 Star Wars, right? Some of them just don't have a whole lot going for them. Like, what does Imperial Dignitary have going for it, right? Does Scratch have a lot going?
I'm only short Snaggletooth, not Snaggletooth. No, I have blue Snaggletooth. Yak Face. I'm only short a Yak Face, and other than that, I have a complete collection. But that Imperial Dignitary, I was so pissed when I bought that thing because I was like, why am I spending $80 on a stupid figure? It's the most stupidest figure in the world, but I need it to complete the stupid set. I hate Imperial Dignitary. That one was just one of those ones that is so bad, but I was like, I need to have the last 17. That one hurt the most, to be honest. Probably out of this whole collection.
You know, it's funny because when Mega J and Jay Bartlett, when we went on and talked about completionism on Mercy's channel a number of months ago, I specifically vented about Imperial Dignitary, and then somehow we transitioned. Like one of the guys said, "Oh yeah, it's like Steel Brigade. Like Goldhead Steel Brigade doesn't have any screen time." And I'm sitting there going, Goldhead Steel Brigade has a lot more going for it than Imperial Dignitary. You know what I mean? Like if you put them side by side, like okay, the screen time aside, I'm like, you got a patch, you got a Goldhead, you got a dossier, you got a cool backpack, you got. I would spend on Goldhead any day of the week compared to Imperial Dignitary. When that came up, I didn't correct the person, but I was like, go look at an Imperial Dignitary in hand and tell me whether you spend that money.
Right now. It's the stupidest figure in the history of figures.
Of all the Star Wars Grails we could have talked about, we talked about Imperial Dignitary.
This is good. This is good for clicks. This is good.
I'm trying to up the value on it. That's it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, there are the esoteric toy lines as well, like the axe-wielding villain from the Last Action Hero. So
at least has an axe. The Dignitary. This is the Dignitary's hands. This.
That is true. Anyway, well, we're kind of closing in on the 90. That's amazing.
Action.
That's amazing, Geek Dad. I mean, we're kind of closing in on the 90-minute mark here, but does anybody have any like closing thoughts on for the next few minutes regarding Holy Grails? Thoughts, tips for your fellow collector?
I have one for your next stream though. I think it's come up here. It's like, what's your price? Everybody has a price to sell you. I think
for the $1 million man, for the $1 million toy collector.
Yeah, I would love to meet some angel investor and just I'll pay you to actually collect toys.
I will say,
you must give me your dog. What are you talking about?
I would say to everyone out there who's chasing their Grail, remember that this is a hobby for fun. Don't let it stress you out. And I think we've all been there. We've all had burnout. It took me a lifetime to get my flag. So your Grail will come to you. Just don't jump at the first thing you see. Shop around and just be patient. And reach out to your fellow toy collectors and offer them followers. I mean, no, don't do that. Don't do that. Now I'm the villain. Thanks, Mega J. We're all bad guys except Ken.
It's been revealed. We are the NWO of toy collecting. We are the New World Order.
the triple J triple threat. So
I like that.
Don't be fooled. Don't be fooled, everybody. The ringleader is actually Toy Connections. He's the one who's got us all together, and he's the one who's gonna bring the world to its knees. The toy collecting world.
I have gone heel on a few of my viewers before, because when I reviewed a Gridiron pack, I got a few people saying, "Damn, now I have to get that Gridiron Studios loadout for my G.I. Joe classified figures," and I'm like, unsubscribe maybe. So, but yeah,
you know what? Our good friend Michael Mercy, great friend of the channel, and of course, wonderful toy collector. He always says the same thing, and I'm going to echo what Jay Bartlett says. Plastic finds a way. Right, and that's something that's Michael's favorite saying, and he's right. Just like what GeekDadLife said, and what Jay Bartlett said, and what Ken has said, multiple times. You have to be patient, right, and look for that right price, because you don't want to be, another friend of our channel's, Mad Hatter. He says the same thing. Like he did a whole video the other day saying Flipper Frank, was laughing at, oh, I'm gonna make all this money, and Flipboard is gonna do the same thing. But you know what? For us right now, you wait, right? Because when the figures start coming out, all of a sudden all these eBay prices are gonna drop, right? Yeah. Because they can't fool everybody, right? And it's the early adopters who. And a lot of people ask me, they're like, why is it people keep buying this stuff on eBay? Well, the reason that is because some people don't have the access to it, right? Like it's only available for the Americas and for the UK, right? So everybody in Australia is left out in the lurch. So is everybody in Asia and so many different parts of the world, right? Cannot get these things. And unfortunately, they have to be, subject to this predatory practices, right? And that seems to be the main issue. But wait. Just wait. It'll come, right? And yeah, sure. Unicron's god awful expensive right now. So's Castle Grayskull. So's that stupid Snake Mountain I got behind me. But you know what? At the end of the day, there's always going to be somebody, a fan, something, right? Who is gonna need to get rid of their collection for whatever reason, whether there's not enough space, whether there's not enough room, whether they're just tired and sick and tired of actually collecting, which does suck. But you know what? Sometimes, or whether or not you and your significant other have decided, let's get married and I need some money, right? And you know what? Then it's a fire sale, and you know what? It happens. Opportunity.
Or don't get married.
There you go. Right.
Well, some of you have talked about being musicians. That's how I actually sold my guitar, my amp, and everything. Like I don't have time to play music anymore. Not that I was, playing much of the time, but you make these kinds of choices.
That hurts real bad, Kim.
I haven't touched my bass or a guitar in 7 years. More than 7 years.
7 years.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
I'm coming over. I'm bringing some gear.
That's the thing. I don't even think I could play the intro to "Smells Like Teen Spirit" right now, which is like the kind of entry level guitar power chord strumming. I don't think I can do that anymore. So
wait for everybody.
You died, Ken. I just want you to know that right now. I want to put that on you, but
wait for it, everybody. We're gonna have the Toy Connection band soon. It's gonna.
I've only ever banned the sex bots from the channel so far, as the only block user that I've ever had on this channel. Oh wow, gentlemen, what a great stream! Everyone in the chat's absolutely loving it, and hopefully this type of topic has some good rewatchability for later on. And I just want to say, unless anyone else has any closing thoughts, just cut me right off. All good. We're all friends here. You're all welcome back on the channel. Awesome. At any point in time. I know scheduling can be a little bit difficult, working around work, families, other obligations, or if you're like Mega J and streaming at 4 a.m. in the morning, and somehow still having viewers, because that's why I don't stream at 4 a.m. I'm like, well, no one's going to watch at 4 a.m. If I get up bored at 4 a.m. and I see Mega J with 100 people in a live chat, right? Or if you're dedicated.
It's 5 p.m. somewhere. Mega J is just global, okay? He's global. It doesn't matter. There's somebody awake somewhere.
Yeah.
I'm doing it for the people who I'm doing it for the 2 people in Arkansas who are like, what are we watching tonight? Oh, I don't know. It's 5 a.m. in the morning. Let's just see something else out there. I'm doing it for the North Carolina guys out there. There we
go. Shout out North Carolina, right?
Was that an insult? Was that an insult?
No, that was. You're gonna have beef with me, brother? You're gonna have beef with me? We're gonna do this. We're gonna do this live. Okay, fine.
Jay Bartlett, ring the bell. This stream's gonna get extended. We're gonna go into overtime. We're gonna go into overtime here, just like the 1996 Iron Man match between Brett and Sean.
In my bottom left corner, we have the entitled millionaire toy collector Mega J Retro. And the top right, we have the angel, the man himself, the man with the new Gargoyles Castle, GeekDadLife. And Ken, what do you think about this match? Who do you think is gonna win?
Sorry, I'm over at the betting table right now, seeing the over under and all that, and trying to put some bets together, right? As for it's whoever drank less yesterday wins this rumble. So you know. Okay, gentlemen, what a stream. So to everyone in the live chat or anybody watching it later on, keep an eye out for Mega J Retro's super duper late night early morning streams.
He's streaming right after this, actually.
He's streaming right now. Like he's simulcasting this. I'm going to get a YouTube copyright. Your video matches somebody else's by 100%. Right, and it's going to be who files the claim first is gonna get to keep their stream is what's going to happen. So follow GeekDadLife and Toy Geeks. He's streaming again every single Sunday. He's got a great Patreon going and a great Discord server. And subscribe to Jay Bartlett and keep an eye out for Action Figure Adventure Season 2. Ladies and gentlemen, let's talk again, and you'll all see me again next week when we do a fun stream-a-thon event with some other channels. I'll give more details on that another time, but for now, take care and have a good one.